If you run a flooring company and you've been hearing about local service ads, but you're not sure if they're worth the money, especially if you've been burned by Google ads before, this video is going to give you a straight answer. I'm going to show you the real math on what local service ads cost for flooring companies, the kind of return you can expect based on your average job size, and how they stack up against the lead sources you're probably already using: Facebook, Thumbtack, Angie, Google pay-per-click. And by the end, you'll know whether to turn them on or keep your money where it is. But there's one number that most people never talk about when it comes to local service ads, and it's the only number that actually tells you if this is making you money or losing you money. Let me show you what it is. If you've ever walked down the flooring aisle at Home Depot, you know the products at eye level are the ones that sell. They get the attention, the foot traffic, the sales. The stuff on the bottom shelf, nobody looks at it. It just sits there. Google works the same way. When a homeowner types in flooring company near me or hardwood floor installation, there's an eye level shelf on that search results page. And that eye level shelf is local service ads. They show up above the map, above regular Google ads, above the organic results. Everything else is the bottom shelf. Now here's what makes local service ads different from regular Google ads. With search ads, you pay every time someone clicks, even if they never call you, even if they bounce off your site, even if they were never a real customer. With local service ads, you only pay when someone actually reaches out. They call you or they message you through the ad. If they don't do that, you don't pay. Flooring is a confirmed category in the platform, so you can bid on the specific work you do, like installation, repair, sanding, refinishing, tile. You're not showing up for random contractor searches. You're showing up when someone is looking for flooring work. And here's the thing, Google opened local service ads up to over 100 business types back in late 2024. Plumbers and HVAC companies have been doing this for years, but most flooring companies haven't set it up yet. In a lot of markets, the competition for flooring LSAs is still pretty thin. So local service ads put you at the very top of Google. You only pay when someone contacts you, and most of your competitors aren't there yet. That sounds good, but what does it actually cost? And does the math work for a flooring company? That's what matters. Let me show you. This is where most people talking about local service ads lose me. They'll tell you the cost per lead, but they skip the number that actually tells you if this is worth it. That number is your cost per closed job. Once you know that, the decision's simple. So let's walk through it. Flooring LSA leads generally cost somewhere between $100 to $200 per lead. That depends on your market and how much competition there is, but that's a fair range. Now, if you hear 150 bucks a lead and your gut says that's expensive, I get it. But cost per lead by itself is the wrong thing to look at. It's like judging a job by the estimate instead of the profit margin. Here's why. When someone finds you through a local service ad, they went to Google, typed in what they need, and chose to call you. They've already decided they need flooring work. They're just picking who does it. That's a completely different buyer than someone scrolling Facebook who sees your ad and says, maybe I'll think about new floors someday. Because these leads already know what they want, they close at a much higher rate. So even though you're paying more per lead, you're spending less to land each actual job because you're not wasting money on people who are never going to hire you. Let me put some numbers on it. Say your average job, hardwood, tile, LVP, carpet, runs $3,000 to $5,000. If your cost per lead is around 150 and you're closing one out of every 4 or 5, your cost to land that job is somewhere around $600 to $800. On a $3,000 to $5,000 job, that's a solid return. And if your average ticket is higher than that, the math gets even better. The takeaway is simple. Stop looking at cost per lead and start looking at cost per closed job. When you do that, local service ads look a lot more interesting than the price tag might suggest. But you're probably already spending money on leads somewhere else. So the real question is, how do local service ads compare to what you've already got? Because adding another lead source only makes sense if it's doing something your current ones can't. If you're running a flooring company at any real size, you're already spending on lead generation. Facebook, Thumbtack, Angie, maybe Google search ads. Let me walk you through how local service ads compare to each one, because knowing where they fit matters just as much as knowing the math. Let's start with Facebook. Facebook leads are cheaper. You can get them in the $30 to $50 range pretty consistently, but the trade-off is intent. On Facebook, you're putting an ad in front of someone while they're looking at photos and scrolling their feed. They weren't searching for a flooring company, you interrupted them. Some will convert, and Facebook is great for getting your name out there and keeping the pipeline going, but the close rate on those leads is lower because the buyer just isn't as ready. Local service ads are on the other side of that coin. The customer came to Google looking for you. They searched, they found your listing, they called. They're further along in their decision. So you pay more per lead, but you close more of them. These two channels aren't competing, they do different things. Facebook builds awareness, local service ads catch the people who are ready to hire right now. Now let's talk about Thumbtack, Angie, and HomeAdvisor, because this is where most flooring company owners have the strongest opinions. Those platforms send shared leads. When a homeowner puts in a request, it goes to you and 3 or 4 other companies at the same time. Before you've even picked up the phone, you're in a price war. With local service ads, the homeowner sees your listing, reads your reviews, and calls you directly. Nobody else is getting that lead at the same time. That alone changes the dynamic completely. Google Search Ads is a more detailed comparison. This one gives you more control. You pick your keywords, build landing pages, write your own ads, but it's more complex and usually needs someone who knows what they're doing to manage it well. Local service ads are much simpler. No keywords, no landing pages. For most flooring companies, especially if you're not running search ads with an expert, LSAs are the easier place to start. So how do you put this together? For most established flooring companies, the best setup is running local service ads and Facebook side by side. Facebook handles the top of your pipeline, getting your name out and bringing in leads at a lower cost. Local service ads capture the people at the bottom, the ones who are ready to book this week. They work well together. So local service ads aren't replacing everything else you do. They're catching a type of buyer that Facebook and Thumbtack can't reach. The person who went to Google, typed in what they need, and wants to hire someone today. But if you've heard anything about LSAs, you've probably also heard they send bad leads. And that concern isn't wrong, but the reason it happens is something most people don't know about, and it's fixable. Let me talk about this directly. If you've heard from other contractors that local service leads send garbage leads, wrong area, wrong service, total junk, that's not made up, it's a real thing. And it actually got worse starting in mid-2024 for a specific reason that most flooring companies don't know about. Here's what happened. Google changed how lead disputes work. Before, you could look at each lead and dispute the ones that weren't real. Google replaced that with an automated system. Now they decide if a lead was legit and credit you on their own. The idea was to make things easier, but what actually happened is a lot of businesses started seeing more junk come through with no easy way to fight it. Here's the fix, and it's simpler than you'd think. You need to rate every single lead that comes through the platform. Every one. When a lead is spam, mark it as spam. When it's outside your area, flag it. When someone's asking for work you don't do, mark that too. When you do this, two things happen. First, Google uses that feedback to get smarter about what it sends you. The algorithm learns what a good lead looks like for your business. Second, flagging a bad lead often triggers an automatic credit, so you're not paying for it. When you don't rate your leads, the opposite happens. You pay for junk you shouldn't be paying for, and you're basically telling Google that what it's sending is fine. It has no reason to get better because you're giving it no feedback. This is the biggest difference between companies that make money in local service ads and companies that say the platform doesn't work. It's not complicated, but someone on your team has to be reviewing and rating leads every day. Do that and the platform gets better over time. Skip it and it gets worse. So now you understand the math, you know where LSAs fit next to your other lead sources, and you know how to handle the bad leads. The last piece is a practical one. How do you actually show up at the top when someone searches for a flooring company? Just turning on local service ads doesn't mean you'll be seen. Google only shows a few listings at the top, and there are specific things they look at to decide who gets those top spots. Two of those things matter way more than everything else, and they're both things you can control starting today. Number one is reviews. Google looks at three things: your star rating, how many reviews you have, and how recently you got them. That last part is a big one. A company that's getting fresh reviews every week will often outrank a company with bigger total count, but nothing new in months. Google wants to see that people trust you right now, not that they trusted you 2 years ago. You want to aim for 4.8 stars or higher and make asking for reviews a consistent part of how you run your business. Number two is responsiveness. Google tracks how you answer calls and how fast you reply to messages. They actually show your response time right on your listing, so a homeowner can see if you reply in 5 minutes or 5 hours. If you're not picking up, Google will show your ad less. This is the number one reason I see businesses say their LSAs just stopped working. They didn't stop. Google stopped showing them because nobody was answering. Beyond those two, there are a few other things to get right. You want to use the maximize leads bid setting. Don't set a manual cap too low or you'll wonder why nothing's coming in. You want to keep your business hours accurate, including weekends if you're available. Fill out your profile completely, photos, service descriptions, and make sure your business profile is verified and linked. Complete profiles rank higher and can actually cost less per lead. One more thing worth knowing, local service ads now show up on Google Maps on mobile too. More visibility in more places. But the real advantage right now is timing. In most flooring markets, local service ads are still early. The companies that get in now, build up their reviews, and stay responsive are going to own those top spots. And once you're there with a strong review base, it gets very hard for a competitor to push you out. Reviews and responsiveness, that's the game. Get fresh reviews coming in every week, answer every call fast, and in most markets right now, you can take the top spot before your competitors even realize it's there. So now you know what local service ads cost per closed job, how they compare to everything else you're spending on, how to deal with the bad leads, and how to get to the top. But here's the question. Do you actually know if your advertising overall is making you money? Not just getting leads and clicks, but actually putting more in your pocket than you're spending? Because local service ads are one piece. And if you don't know your numbers across everything you're running, you're making decisions without the full picture. I made a video that walks through exactly how to figure that out. How much to spend, where to spend it, what's working right now, and how to know if it's all actually paying off. That's what you should watch next. I'll put it right here.